What if the greatest scientific achievement in history also became its greatest curse? Oppenheimer isn't just a movie about the atomic bomb. It's a deep look into ambition, morality, and the burden of knowledge. Directed by Christopher Nolan, the film tells the story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the brilliant physicist who led the Manhattan Project. He believed his work would end war, but instead, he created a weapon that could destroy the world. This movie isn't just about history, it's about choices. Did Oppenheimer truly understand the consequences of his work? Was he a hero for his scientific achievement, or a man who unleashed destruction? And how did he feel after seeing the results of his creation? With its gripping storytelling and powerful performances, Oppenheimer takes us inside the mind of a man who changed history. Let's break down this masterpiece and uncover its deeper meaning. Oppenheimer was directed by Christopher Nolan and released on July 21, 2023. With a budget of $100 million, it became a massive success, earning over $950 million worldwide. But more than its box office numbers, the film made a deep impact on audiences. It is not just a history lesson, it is a powerful story about science, power, and the consequences of invention. The movie is based on the true story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the man who led the Manhattan Project and helped develop the atomic bomb. The story takes us through his rise as a brilliant scientist, his work at Los Alamos, and the emotional weight of his discoveries. Unlike typical war films, this one focuses on the mind of a man torn between scientific progress and moral responsibility. One of the most powerful parts of the film is its realism. Nolan chose not to use CGI for the atomic explosion, making the visuals feel raw and terrifying. The storytelling jumps between different points in Oppenheimer's life, showing not only his success, but also his downfall when the government turns against him. This movie sparked conversations about nuclear weapons, ethics, and history. It is not just about the past. It makes us think about the future and the choices we make with technology. The movie begins with a young J. Robert Oppenheimer, a brilliant but troubled physicist studying quantum mechanics. His intelligence sets him apart, but his ideas are sometimes too advanced for others to understand. He becomes fascinated with the power of atoms and the possibility of unlocking energy on a massive scale. As World War II begins, the US government sees an urgent need to develop a nuclear weapon before Nazi Germany does. Oppenheimer is chosen to lead the Manhattan Project, a top-secret mission to create the world's first atomic bomb. He gathers the best scientists in the country and moves to Los Alamos, a secret research facility in the desert. There, they work around the clock, knowing that failure could mean disaster. While Oppenheimer is dedicated to science, he begins to struggle with the moral weight of what he is creating. The power of the bomb could change the world, but at what cost? As the bomb nears completion, tension builds. The government pushes for faster results, while Oppenheimer begins to see the dark future of his invention. The moment of truth arrives with the Trinity test, the first detonation of an atomic bomb. As the fireball rises into the sky, Oppenheimer whispers, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." After the Trinity test proves that the atomic bomb works, Oppenheimer becomes both a celebrated scientist and a man haunted by his own creation. The success of the test leads to a decision that will change history. The US government decides to drop the bombs on Japan to force an end to World War II. Oppenheimer is not part of the final decision, but he watches as his invention is used to destroy Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Hundreds of thousands of people die, and the world enters a new era of nuclear power and fear. At first, Oppenheimer is treated as a hero. He is praised for helping America win the war, but inside he struggles with guilt. He realizes that his work has created a weapon that could wipe out humanity. Instead of celebrating, he begins to speak out against the use of nuclear bombs. However, the government sees him as a problem. He is no longer just a scientist. He is a political figure questioning America's military power. His former allies turn against him. He is accused of having ties to communists, and a secret hearing is held to destroy his reputation. Once respected, he is now isolated, his warnings about nuclear war ignored. Oppenheimer, once the key to victory, is now seen as a threat. Oppenheimer's life takes a sharp turn after the war. The same people who once praised him now see him as a danger. He is called to a private hearing where his loyalty to the US is questioned. The government accuses him of having communist ties, using his past friendships and political beliefs against him. The hearing is not fair. Decisions have already been made, and his fate is sealed. His security clearance is taken away, stripping him of any power or influence in nuclear policy. He realizes that he has lost control over what he created. The bomb, once a scientific challenge, has now become a tool for war and politics. The arms race begins, and the US and the Soviet Union rush to build more powerful weapons. Oppenheimer watches helplessly as the world prepares for a future he once feared. Despite everything, he continues to speak about the dangers of nuclear weapons. He warns that their power is too great and that countries must work together to avoid destruction. But his voice is no longer as strong as it once was. The world has moved on, and Oppenheimer is left to live with the knowledge that he started something that can never be undone. Years pass, and Oppenheimer becomes a quiet figure, no longer involved in government decisions. He spends his time teaching and writing, but the world around him is changing fast. Countries are building more bombs, and nuclear power is now a permanent part of global politics. He had once believed that creating the bomb would end all wars, but instead it started a dangerous arms race. One of the most powerful moments in the film is when Oppenheimer meets Albert Einstein. In their conversation, Einstein warns him that history will not be kind to him. Oppenheimer realizes that his name will always be linked to destruction. He does not try to defend himself. He knows that his invention cannot be taken back, and the fear of nuclear war will never go away. Though he is no longer a public figure, people still recognize his influence. In the 1960s, the US government tries to repair its treatment of him by giving him an award, but it is too late. The damage to his reputation and legacy has already been done. He accepts it, but he knows that the world will never forget what he created. The film ends with a haunting realization. His work did not just change war, it changed the future of humanity. The ending of Oppenheimer is both powerful and unsettling. As he reflects on his life, he understands that his greatest achievement is also his greatest burden. He once believed that building the bomb would bring peace, but instead it led to fear, destruction, and a world on the edge of disaster. The weight of his actions never leaves him. The film leaves us with deep questions. Was Oppenheimer a hero or a villain? Did he have a choice, or was he just following the path of science? He knew that if the US didn't build the bomb, someone else would. But even after the war ended, he could not stop thinking about what he had unleashed. His conversation with Einstein reminds us that history is complicated. Some see Oppenheimer as a genius who helped end a war, while others see him as the man who made nuclear war possible. The film does not give a clear answer, it lets the audience decide. One thing is certain, his discovery changed the world forever. His story is not just about the past, it is a warning about the future. The power he helped create still exists today, and its dangers have not gone away. Oppenheimer is more than just a history lesson. It is a story about ambition, consequences, and the weight of human choices. It shows how one man's genius led to an invention that changed the world, not just in war, but in how nations view power. The film does not focus on battles or explosions, but on the mind of a man who carried the burden of his own creation. The movie also makes us think about the role of scientists in shaping the future. Oppenheimer and his team worked to create something they believed would stop war, but instead they started a dangerous arms race. This is not just a story about the past, it is a warning about the future. The fear of nuclear war still exists today, making Oppenheimer's story as relevant as ever. Oppenheimer is a powerful film that goes beyond history, making us think about the weight of knowledge and the consequences of invention. It tells the story of a man who changed the world but was haunted by what he created. His genius led to both victory and fear, leaving behind a legacy that still affects us today. Was he a hero, or did he unleash something uncontrollable? What do you think about Oppenheimer's choices? Let's discuss in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep movie breakdowns on Plot Story Reviews.